So today we've got an amazing, amazing guest speaker coming in. You might have noticed him wandering around. So Jason Clarke is a celebrated author, adventurer, gold medal Olympian, and popular TV chef. Actually, no, he's not. However, but he is one of the most sought after creative minds in the country. He thinks of himself as a plumber of the mind, the guy you go to get your head unclogged. Founder of Minds at Work, he's been helping people think again since the end of the last century. Ooh, that's a big call.
Yeah.
Working with clients across Australia and overseas in virtually every industry and government sector on issues ranging from creativity, problem solving, cultural change, and leadership. His mission, to help people think. His vision, a future that works. I love that. He doesn't know what he'd be doing in 2040, but he's open to suggestions. So approach him afterwards. He's here to tell us all about how to spread ourselves thick. Please give a huge, massive room welcome to Jason Clarke.
Good morning. Am I too loud at the moment? Riley, could you just bring, I feel like I'm God at the moment. Good morning, everybody. Oh, thank God. You know, I've been waiting 2 years for a live audience and you did not disappoint, so thank you so much. I want to talk about how to spread yourself thick. Now, my background is in innovation, which is reinventing businesses, getting like, what's the next version of what you do? But very often my clients will say, we can't think about the future because we're just so busy, caught up in everything else. We literally don't have the headspace. Does that ring some bells? So I want to look at both sides of that. How to fire up your creative mind, but also the minds of people you work with, but how to unclog the brain so that you've got more mental space. Does that sound good to you guys? Let's see if I can deliver on this. So, firstly, I want to ask, has anyone here ever been to a dog race? Yep. Oh, classy crowd. Okay. For the rest of you who haven't, if you've sort of gone to the opera or the ballet or something else, let me explain how dog racing works. And I swear to God, this will be relevant. You've got a round track, you've got dogs in a box, and you've got a stuffed rabbit on a stick. That's the deal. And what we do is we run the rabbit around the track really fast, and the dogs chase it because they think they have a hope in hell in catching it. Now, here's the thing. The race is rigged because the rabbit always wins. But we don't tell the dogs that, otherwise they wouldn't bother, right? But an amazing thing happened in Ireland back in 2006. Here's the race. First couple of seconds, no surprises. Stuffed rabbit in the lead, as you'd expect. Dog number one, that close to achieving its goal. What's it thinking? Just call out. What's its plan? Kill the thing, how? How am I going to get it? How am I going to win? Just go harder. Just go faster. Start earlier, work harder, work longer, and I'll get the thing. Does that sound right to you guys? This thing is just going, I just have to do more. That's all I've got to do. Not question what I'm doing, just do more. And we were working with a football team in Melbourne, and the coach kept saying, we want the boys, they call them the boys have got to go out there and give it 400%. And I'd say, that's not a thing. That doesn't mean anything. Do you know how stupid it sounds? And he said, you don't understand. We've got to turn the team around 360 degrees. So I'm thinking, all right, okay, sure, why not? Whatever floats your boat. Geometry's not their thing either. So this dog's only got one plan, which is to triple down on the existing plan. Does that sound familiar? If I just work harder and longer, that's all I've got to do. Dog number two is looking straight up the fundamental orifice of dog number one. That's not a big picture where I come from. It's got the same plan. Dogs 3, 4, 5, they know they're not going to be number one, but they don't care. They're just happy to be involved. And they just go, you know what? I'm doing better than him. I'm not doing as well as him. We're just looking at each other, kind of getting a bit of a thing. Dog number 6, asleep when the trapdoor opened. Missed the first few crucial seconds of the race. But this dog is not in the zone. This dog is not head down, bum up. This dog's looking around. And this dog sees something that the other dogs are a little bit too busy to see. What can the dog see? Because some of you are already doing it. What are you thinking? Guys, stuff you. I'm just going to wait for the thing to come to me. You could just plant yourself. Or put in a little extra effort and, run towards the rabbit. But there's a third thing it could do. What could you see? It jumped the barrier, cut straight through the middle, got the rabbit. Hooray for dog number 6. First dog in the history of the sport to have achieved the KPI. So do you think that somewhere in the Greyhound Hall of Fame, there's a big-ass gold statue to dog number 6? What do you reckon happened to dog number 6? Oh, you're monsters. Banned from racing. Banned for life. Why? This dog's a freaking genius. Why would you ban the dog? Cheated. And you know what? That's what I thought. And I looked up the rules. That's how sad I am. I thought, let's see. Oh, there is no rule that says you can't do that. There is now. But there wasn't then. No one had thought of this. I reckon the reason why they banned the dog, they thought, if the other dogs get onto this, there goes the industry. And by the way, goodbye Formula One, goodbye America's Cup. It's all over because someone's found a quicker way. This is, for me, the best way of summarising the last 25 years of my career. Because what I'm interested in is which companies innovate and which don't. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but the number one and the number two aren't the innovators. They were. That's how they got there. But what happens? Who do they get taken out by? Not 3 or 4 or 5. Someone you've never heard of. Just turns up and looks at the business with fresh eyes and says, really? That's how you're doing it? Are you sure? Give me some examples. Where have you seen this? What industries have you seen transformed by a newcomer with no experience, no credibility, no background, just a better idea? Where have you seen it? Uber's a great example. I wouldn't be buying a taxi license now, would you? Someone said, really? Are you sure? This is the best way to get someone from A to B? Are you sure? Uber's a great one. Any others? Kodak. What was the thing with Kodak? Digital film. Where's that voice coming from? Yeah. Do you know who invented the digital camera? Kodak. It was their idea. They invented it. And they went, this will disrupt our business. We'll put this in a cupboard and no one else will think about it. Isn't that incredible? They invented the thing that destroyed them. I was working with Kodak in the 80s. That's how old I am. And they were saying, yep, digital, it's coming. They're standing on the track looking at the train going, yep, any minute now, here it comes. Like they could have got into it because they had the head start. What about accommodation? What about energy? Airbnb, change. Every time it's a newcomer. You know, Amazon into retail, you know, Apple into computers. It's the same story over and over again. Do you know Blockbuster? Who remembers Blockbuster, right? Do you know Netflix went to Blockbuster 3 times and said, behold, there's a better way of doing this. What would you reckon? Would you like to guess what Blockbuster said to Netflix 3 times? 2 words. Second word off. 3 times. And what I find hilarious now is that Netflix has a comedy on this that they're streaming about the death of Blockbuster. That's just mean, right? But you can see how... Now, guess what's happening to Netflix? Are they the hot and happening incumbent? No, they're the tired, fat, old one that someone's going to knock off the... You've seen this happen over and over again. And it can happen at pretty much any scale. Here's 4 businesses with one thing in common. You've got an adult bookstore, you've got an insurance agent, guy who does auto parts, and a tax officer. What do you notice? They all used to be Pizza Huts. And that's the incredible thing. This is actually from a website called usedtobeapizzahut.com, where I swear to you, people post images of local businesses in the carcasses of Pizza Huts, and every town's got one. Because Pizza Hut thought they had the formula. They just went, oh, we've nailed it. Got the funky roof, we've got the trapezoid windows, you've got Pac-Man. Fantastic, right? And as soon as the VCR was invented, Domino's goes, I don't think people are going to go out anymore. I think they're going to sit home and watch movies in their underpants. And if we don't take the pizzas to them, we won't sell any pizzas. And guess what Pizza Hut's argument was? If we build it, they will come. Worst piece of business advice ever given to anyone ever. Because guess what? Someone's looking at your business right now and saying, really? Are you sure? Is that the best way to do it? How many of you got into your own business because you got sick of working for idiots? Is that pretty much all of us? Think about when you were you were young and starting off, and you go into a company and they say, welcome to the business. Here's how we do things around here. How many of you, and be honest with me because I know the truth anyway, how many of you thought, you have got to be kidding me? This can't be the way it works. Who's had that moment, right? And you know what? They say, you think, oh, this is just a hazing ritual. This is what they do to the new kid. After a week, they're going to go, oh, of course, we don't do it like that. You go, shit, this is actually how they do it. And how many of you had a better idea? Probably on the weekend, on the toilet at 3 o'clock in the morning, you think, you know what I'll do? I'm going to knock open those doors on Monday morning. I'm going to say, behold, rejoice, my people. There's a smarter way of doing this. It doesn't have to be stupid anymore. And they're going to say, thank God you're finally here. What response did we get? Let's do it together at the count of 3, shall we? 1, 2, 3. That's been done. We tried that once in 1972. We couldn't use the fan for 3 weeks. That's never been done, and I think I've just covered everything. Here's what I saw a director of nursing do in a major hospital. She did this. You're new here, aren't you, pet? So we said, come to the organisation, make a difference, but don't change anything. Have you seen what that does to smart people? They either stay in the organisation and lose the will to live, or they set out and they start their own business, and here we are. Is this ringing any bells? By the way, used to be a pizzahut.com is my second favourite website after catsthatlooklikehitler.com, which is also a true thing. This has got to be the most internet thing. I love the little one on the right there, is really putting it in, you know. But this is the thing. You look at the business and say, are you sure? Are we really doing this the cleverest way possible? So I'm going to show you a really simple tool, and this is one you should be doing pretty much straight away, called Renovators Delight. Renovators Delight is, before you innovate your business, try renovating your business. What parts of it are fundamental that you just got to keep? They're the best bits. Very often when we resist change, we're worried about losing the things that matter, like the real heart of the business. Protect that, put it in a vault, and then start thinking about everything else. If you protected the right things, what would you chuck? What would you get rid of? Right? What is it that you would keep but not in the same way? And what is it you'd add that was missing? Is anybody here familiar with Cirque du Soleil? Tell me what that's like. Describe it to me. What are some of the words you'd use? Really? You got nothing? It's mesmerizing. It's a mesmerizing thing. Anything else about it, do you know? It's scary. It's innovative. Do you reckon it's a healthy business? Oh my God, yes. I mean, they are just banking fat rolls all the time, right? But isn't it just circus? I mean, boring, circus. Circus is a business that goes back to the Romans, right? What is it that Cirque du Soleil has that all circuses have always had? Tent, performers, audience, people doing wacky stuff. Have they protected that? Have they kept that? Because that's the heart of it. What if they said, I think the future of circus will be a smartphone app? No, I still need to be in a room and see people just doing crazy stuff. Would you agree? Do they keep the right things, yes or no? What did they get rid of? Animals. Okay, was that a good line item to cut? Yes. Very expensive, very difficult, very ethically dubious, and a lot of shoveling. All of a sudden, you get rid of the animals. Does that free things up? What else could you do if you let go of the animals? What else is possible? What did they change? Let's start with the ticket price. Did they change the audience? Did they change the experience of the audience? Did they change where the performers came from? You know that they don't hire people who have had circus training. Why would that be? Because we don't want that old Barnum and Bailey shit here. We're doing something quite different. Yeah? In fact, what they do is they recruit athletes from Commonwealth and Olympic Games. If someone's on the Chinese rings and they only go to silver, Cirque du Soleil go, hey, you want to join the circus? And they're right there. What is it they've added? Live music, interactivity, bungee jumping, pyrotechnics. Think of the culture where they go around and they pick up people from different countries to join the troupe. What's that culture going to be like? You're about to jump, I'm about to catch you, and I've never understood a single word you've ever said. The only word that you and I both know is hop. That's the only word we know, and everything else is just going to be fine. This is a beautiful renovation. Yeah? Look what they've done. They've taken a tired, old, daggy business, completely reworked it, but they didn't start from scratch because it wasn't broken. Do you see the value in renovating? Does anybody here remember wrestling from the 70s? What was that like? 2 fat guys in tights, festival hall, chair over the head, fake blood, cage match, 3 bloodthirsty grannies screaming, get him Larry, go get him Larry. That was pretty much it. The McMahon family went, this could use a makeover. What did they keep? The fake blood, the cage, the chair over their head, right? The ring. What did they get rid of? Actual wrestlers. They were like the old circus lions. Yeah, get rid of them. Let's get bodybuilders in here. Let's get people who look like action figures. We'll just do that, right? What have they changed? I don't know, the ticket price, the audience, the size of the stadia. They're not talking to 5 people, they're talking to what? 15, 20,000 people. what we call the Truckosaurus demographic. Just get those people in there and blow shit up, yeah? And then what is it that they added? Soap opera. It's not about the wrestling. It's the Bold and the Beautiful on steroids. It's about the Crusher has run away with the Eliminator's girlfriend. The largest audience they have is women. Totally reinvented this thing. Do you see the beauty of a renovation? Your business isn't broken. You're not starting from scratch. You've got something very cool. What if you give it a bit of a makeover? Give you a third example. Because guess what? Wrestling is old, goes back to the Greeks. Circus is old, goes back to the Romans. What about classical music? That's pretty old business. What's Andre Rieu done? What has he kept? Bach, Beethoven, Mozart. Nothing wrong with that. What's he got rid of? The stuffiness, the elitism, the poshness, the stuff that kept people out. What's he put in? Fun and play and silliness. What's he changed? The audience, the demographic, the ticket price. Can you see a pattern here? This is a beautiful model to look at your business and go, what do I want to keep? What do I want to chuck, change, or add? Is this something you could use? See the enthusiasm, the energy. That's the thing. That's what I'm grooving on. It's fantastic, guys. Keep it up. So I'm going to show you how to take this up a notch, how to really go nuts. This is this is James Dyson, and he does a thing which all inventors do, is that he gets irritated. Innovators are creative, smart, and slightly pissed off about everything, because if they're complacent, there's no need to change anything. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, at your table with your groups, I want you to identify a physical object that annoys you. Let's not make it personal. Let's not make it a person. Let's make it an actual thing. Your table's covered in crap. Your face is covered in crap. You've got crap in your pockets. Find something you could be annoyed by as a team. I'm going to give you 10 seconds. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. What do we got? What's over here? Is that something you guys are getting into? Okay, you know what? You haven't sold it. So I'm going to say this. I'm picking this at random. I want you to be annoyed by this. Do you reckon you could do it? I reckon you can. I can see it in your eyes. Okay. I want you to be annoyed by that. What are you guys going to be annoyed by?
The fact that it's shrunk just the logos.
Do you know what? Open it up to the whole bottle. Like, really embrace the hate of the whole bottle. How about you guys? You guys all care about that? Okay, good. Over here. The table, the wobbly table over here. Teacup over here. Wobbly table, very popular over here. Phone over here. Wobbly table, we've got that one covered. Actually, I'm going to give you guys, spotlights, beautiful. And what about the dream team down there? You got one? The phones. Okay, so here's the deal. Here's the deal. Does anybody here enjoy a good whinge? Yeah, we all do, really. This is the first step to building something better, is to actually embrace the horror of what we currently have. So I'm going to give you 4 minutes, enjoy yourselves. I'm going to give you 4 minutes, make the longest written list you can of why this pisses you off, right? And I mean really unlock the hatred, right? If what you don't like about the wobbly chair, if you decide the table's wobbly, okay, it's wobbly, but it's also not chocolate. Yeah, not chocolate. It doesn't even need to make sense. I want you to go for the longest list you can. Really focus on quantity. I want a lot of complaints and a lot of griping. 4 minutes. Go. How'd you go? Did you have any trouble getting irritated by something you pretty much just chose at random? What, say yes or no? Yeah, pretty much. This is one of our innate skills, yeah? And actually, you know, when you want to bring people together, we talk about common vision. Common irritation is much faster. Like, being annoyed by the same thing is actually how we bond. It's a beautiful thing. So how did that feel? What was that discussion? What did it feel like? Great. Isn't it? It's the best. It's cathartic. You hate it, dude, I hate it. We are like this. It's a fantastic way to come together, yeah? So who's got a big list of gripes they'd like to share with the rest of us? I got the special box here. Who's up? Who wants to lead the way here? Yeah, here we go. Catch. Oh.
Okay, wobbly table. Keeps moving. Ruins your writing. may fall or collapse. What breaks? Should be put out for firewood. WHS risk, it's too high, you can't dance on it.
My first thought.
It's, it's an old door, rusty bucket. Insult to the industry. Can't listen to the conference because I'm worried about it, worried about the table. And this spoils my whole day.
Beautiful. What do we think? Give it up. Now, what would happen if these kids worked with the company that made these? Right? They're new to the business. Oh, we don't like the wobbly table. This is the ambassador. This is our #1 bestseller. Who the hell are you? That's what tends to happen. But now organisations are going, yeah, you're right. Actually, this sucks. Could we make something better? Could you think of something better than this? Yes or no? Oh, yeah. Hold that thought because we're going to come back to that. Who else has got something? Who else has got something? Come on, come share, come share. Okay, here we go. There you go.
Okay, ours is a coffee cup. Handle's too small, it's not enough coffee, it's not bottomless, the plate is unnecessary, it's not edible, it doesn't hold enough coffee, it's unbalanced, it looks boring and dull, the size is not correct, so it doesn't sit in it properly, it's not Royal Albert, it's breakable, we can't use it as a frisbee, it's too small as a hat, and it's noisy when shaken.
Beautiful. What do we think? Give it up. Could you think of something better to drink coffee out of? Could you think of a better way of absorbing coffee into your system? Are there better ways than that? We're going to come back to that. How do most of us react? How would normal people react if you go, oh, I don't want my coffee cup, it's too big and it's too small and I don't like the thing. What are we likely to say to each other? Oh, boo-hoo, princess. You know, there are children starving in Africa. Why don't you get over yourself? What we do is we actually discourage people from whinging. And innovation, it's the exact opposite. You lean into the whinge. Because if you tell me what you hate about this, you're giving me some clues about what the next version could be. Do you see the beauty of this? So really embrace your inner whinger. Let's do one more. Just make sure it's not a fluke. Give me one more. Who's got one? Yeah, where are you? Hup.
We've got the mobile phone. Constant interruptions, distractions, goes flat. Can't live with it, but you can't live without it. Too dependent on it. Constant change in charger adapters.
Yep.
Breaks easy, no privacy.
Beautiful. What do we think? Oh, come on, like you mean it. Now, when you heard those, we go, oh yeah, I'm feeling your pain. How many of you actually identified with some of those gripes? Yeah. And guess what? That means that's the market. If it's pissed off some smart people and other people going, yeah, damn it, why can't it be like this? You've actually found a marketplace. Edward Land was an engineer and he's taking pictures of his daughter. This is back in the 60s. He's taking a picture of her and she's about 4 years old. And she said, I want to see the photo now. And he said, no, sweetie, you can't. That's not how it works. Why? Well, because Dad's got to take it to the chemist and they've got to dip it in fixer and they've got to do a whole thing and the light and we want the paper. And he's explaining the whole thing. She's going, that's stupid. I want it now. And he's going, yeah, fuck it. I want it now too. And that's when he came up with the concept of the land camera, which became the Polaroid camera. And it took him, 15 years to figure out how do you put a chemical laboratory into a camera. But it would never have occurred to him until this little girl said, I don't want to wait. Why do I have to wait? Do you see the beauty of this? My local shopping centre had closed for the day and there's a mum and a small girl looking at a dress shop window. The girl's about this high, so I figure she's like a toddler. The little girl put her fingers on the window and did that. And then she did this, and then she did this. What is happening in the mind of that kid? Why isn't this smarter? Why isn't this better? This is dumb. What century am I in? Do you see the beauty of this? So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you what to do with the complaint. Now that we've found something we don't like, how could we change it? And I'm going to give you what are called thought grenades. And these are questions you can ask pretty much about anything. I reckon you could do it at random. I'm going to be replaced by an app as soon as someone figures that out. You can ask these questions at random and they'll generate more and more and more ideas. So let me show you a couple of basics. Here's the most obvious one, what we call an ad. Some of you young kids, I'll have to explain, luggage didn't have wheels on it originally. We used to just drag bags through the place. And a pilot pinched the skateboard wheels off his kid's skateboard and thought, I'm going to stick it on the bag. He sold the concept, just the concept, for $26 million, which means a lot of people wanted wheels on their bags. It wasn't just you. Does that make some sense? And this is an idea. I've met 15 people who say they had that idea. I'm sure they did because it's obvious, but it's taking it the next step. What if I actually did it, actually stuck the wheels on, see what would happen, right? So it's what we call an ad. Most people, this is their default. What could I add to the business? What's the new offering I could have? What's the new service? The problem is, though, they get spread thin very quickly because they're doing too many things, yeah? In fact, this is the basic strategy of Victorinox, the people who make the Swiss Army knives. This was their first model, the officer's knife, 1891, 4 blades, very popular. World War II, they came up with the classic, 6 blades, fine. 1991, the Swiss Champ XLT, 27 blades. Can you see a pattern? What question do they ask at Victorinox every August? What else can we stick into a knife? It's the same question. Do you reckon that would get stupid? It got stupid. 2006, they launched the Giant. This is not Photoshop. This is a real thing, right? It has every tool they ever made. It's 9 inches thick. It weighs 1.5 kilos, and you can't use it for anything. This is what happens to a lot of people's businesses. They keep adding more and more and more and more. And guess what? It gets to a point where I can't cope anymore. And I'm not doing anything properly because I'm doing way too many things. Does that ring any bells? Yeah? This thing, you can't fit it in the pocket. It's clearly not a pocket knife. It comes with a holster. I mean, for God's sake, it's nuts. So adding is good to a point, but then it gets crazy. What would be a good complementary strategy? If I'm adding and adding and adding, what's another thing I could do to improve a business? Cut out. What if I took stuff away? What if I dropped stuff off? If I chucked the animals, would it be a better idea? The same year that first knife came out, this guy invented basketball. That's the original guy, the original basket, and the original ball. 2 peach baskets either side of a gym. You run up, throw the ball in, stop, get a ladder, climb up the ladder, take the ball out of the basket, put it back in the gym, put the ladder away, game on. It was a great game until anyone scored. He's looking at a billiard table a couple of years later and he went, rope, that's the ticket. We'll make the baskets out of rope. And I love this here. By means of a cord, the ball is easily discharged. So you pull the string and the ball pops out and then an old guy with a stick comes and just resets the net and off we go. It was 21 years before anyone thought of cutting a hole in the basket. Total game changer. This would work better without a bottom. By the way, 21 years, that's pretty good. You know, tin food was invented in 1810. If I've just given you food in a tin, what do you need next? A tin opener. When do you reckon the tin opener was invented? Wasn't 1810, wasn't 1820, or 1830, 1858. There was a 48-year period where we actually didn't have a way of accessing the product. And as far as I can tell, we were using hacksaws, axes, and shotguns. Like, kids' dinner's on. And I just love this idea. There's this long gap of, really? Are you sure? I'm pretty certain during that time someone went, really? Are you sure? Yeah, shut up, you're new here. Okay. So you could add, you could subtract, you could multiply. No one wants one Lego brick. You know, this is a fantastic model. You just keep getting more and more. And of course you can divide. We are still going on about sliced bread, right? It was a great idea because the pop-up toaster was invented 5 years earlier, which means we needed uniformly cut bread for that thing to work. So you can add, subtract, multiply, divide. Pretty easy. Who's got a dog? Call out the breed. Golden Retriever, classic of the genre. What else? A what? A Schown dog. A Schnauzer. Okay, a Schnauzer, got it now. Any others? Yep. Do you realise you've all got a European grey wolf? There's only one species of domesticated dog, and it's the European grey wolf. Everything from the Great Dane to the mighty Chihuahua is a European grey wolf. Look what we've done to that poor animal. We have really screwed it over, haven't we? We've said change the size, change the shape, change the look, change its behaviour. That's how we've made all of those variations, by just asking those 4 questions. Could you ask those 4 questions of your business? The size, the shape, the look, how it behaves. In fact, could you ask exactly the same question of the wobbly table, or the crappy coffee cup, or the mobile phone that drives people crazy? Next time you go to Officeworks, have a look at the 3M aisle. What have they done? They're an adhesives company. Their number one product is a glue that doesn't stick. Just get into the headspace of that for a second. Just come with me on that day to the lab where a scientist finds a glue that doesn't stick and says to the boss, "Boss, I found a glue that doesn't stick." In any other organization, what would be the answer? "Damn it, Johnson, we make glues that stick. Go back to the lab." But at 3M, they go, "Cool. Let's see what that thing could be." But look what they've done. One idea, and yet they've produced all these mutations by asking those 4 questions. Are these good questions? You bet. I got more. Oh, by the way, don't get me started on Italian food. Yeah, this is the Lazy Susan. It was invented by the Thomas Jefferson. I'm still trying to find out who Susan was and what his problem with her was. I'm sure there's a story there. This was his first invention. I'm going to show you his second invention. And you tell me what's happening in the mind of the inventor. What's going on here? This is what we call an extension. I mean, he basically sat on his first invention. That's pretty much all that happened there. But take the idea a little further. That's the girl doing that on the window. What if I just push this a little bit further? What's the next iteration of this thing going to be? Actually, I should tell you just pretty quickly, is anyone familiar with chess boxing? This is not Photoshop, this is real. Look it up on YouTube, kids. It's huge in Eastern Europe. A round of moves, a round of punching, another round of moves. It's incredible. You took 2 things that work and you stuck them together. People do this all the time. Theatre, restaurants, sofa beds. We take 2 things and we whack them together. Piano, accordion. Maybe they don't all work. MTV was invented by 2 disc jockeys who said, "I like television and I like music." Has anyone thought about putting the 2 together? Huge business. You know who didn't come up with this? The world's biggest music company, which was also coincidentally the world's largest television company. CBS did not think of this. You know why? Because there's a silo over here for music and there's a silo over here for television, and the television guys think the music guys are wankers and vice versa. Right? The silos stop the ideas moving from place to place. But 2 people with nothing to do go, let's join these things up. Somewhere in your house, you've got an upside down bottle of something. It's probably like a hair care product or a condiment, and you have just bashed the hell out of this thing to try and get something out. Paul Brown's an inventor. He's sitting at the breakfast table. He's bashing the sauce bottle, and now that I hear myself say that, that's not a euphemism. He's just trying to get the sauce onto his breakfast, and he says, "Why doesn't someone think of a better way of doing this?" And his wife says, "Well, you're an inventor, and you had this idea. Why don't you do that?" So he invents an upside-down bottle, sells the concept for $13 million, and one of his customers is NASA, who used the valve for zero-gravity drinking straws. Do you see the genius of this? And yet we've all done the first bit. We've all turned it upside down. We just didn't make it upside down. Is this making some sense to you guys? Okay. Yes. Now, most people will not admit to knowing what these are for. I'm told they're terrific. But does anybody know what Viagra was invented for? Sorry? Yeah, heart issues. It was to increase blood flow around the heart. I want to emphasize that. But what they found during clinical trials, old guys kept asking for refills. And that's when they thought, hang on, there's something else going on here. Maybe this does something else. Everything on this list was invented for a completely different reason than what we use it for. So, for example, the wobbly table is a terrible table, but you've already identified it could be good firewood. Could it be something else? If it's no good at this job, what could it be good at? You know that Kleenex facial tissues? These were gas mask filters developed for World War I. When the war was over, Kimberly-Clark was going, what are we going to do with these very slippery bits of paper? Oh, well, I suppose you could blow your nose on them. Listerine was a foot wash and then a floor wash before it became a mouthwash. Here's one of my favourites. Nitrous oxide was a party drug before it became an anaesthetic, and now it's a party drug. So, you know, Hakuna Matata. Splendor was an insecticide and arguably still is. So this is what we make them for, but then we find some other use for it. Find another use for that crappy object. What else could it be? If I gave you 5 million of those bad phones, what could you do with that? Is that a resource? There's some pretty rare, interesting stuff in there. What would someone else do? If you're stuck, what would Elon Musk do? What would MacGyver do? What would someone who wasn't thinking the same way do? Could you simplify it? Too many bits, too many parts, too many steps. Could I really strip this thing down? I reckon I could do that one. I'm pretty comfortable. I could knock that one over. Could you rename it, reframe it? Do you know that the world's market for dolls is not little girls? It's middle-aged men who live with their parents. Oh, sorry, no, they're not dolls, they're action figures. Yeah, okay, got it, action figures. Reframing is really powerful. Call it something else and it becomes something else. Does anybody know what a shreddy is?
Cereal.
It's a cereal. Tell me about it.
It's a wheat-based cereal.
It's like a wheat-based little chunky thing. Did you have it in Canada? Okay, beautiful. Perfect. Canada, I think it's a Commonwealth thing, or an old Commonwealth thing. A bit of a boring thing, but it's a bit of a mainstay. It's like our Vitabrits, I suppose. Anyway, Shreddies Canada wanted to relaunch the product about 10 years ago. And they said, well, you know what? You can't change it, but we want people to get very excited about it, but don't change it. Here's what the agency came up with, and I think this is genius. New diamond shreddies. I shit you not. This was a thing. Sales went up 18% over the next 2 years. People went on talkback radio. I'm an old-fashioned guy. I really preferred the square ones. My kids are crazy for the diamond ones. After about 2 years, the whole of Canada went, wait, what? And realised this whole thing had just been a bit of a joke, which is when the agency pulled their masterstroke. And they had this up their sleeve the whole time. They said, you know what? Breakfast is a time to be together. Let's not argue. You like square, I like diamond. Introducing the combo pack. Sales went up again. It's freaking genius. Okay, so here's the deal. You have at your table some very smart minds, really clever people, and you've chosen something that you all hate. And your Uncle Jace has given you 16 of his favourite thought grenades just to get the wheels turning. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes to completely reinvent the wobbly table or the shitty coffee cup or whatever else, whatever's bugging you. Here's your chance to reinvent it. And I mean, seriously, rethink this thing completely. I want obvious ideas. I want outrageous ideas. I want unethical ideas. I don't want you to filter anything. For the next 5 minutes, I want you to let the monkeys out of the cage and just go crazy. And here's my 3 tips, right? Number 1, go for quantity. Don't worry about the quality, not just yet. Just focus on every idea as fast as you can. Don't worry about the detail. I don't care. Right? I'm not interested in the return on investment. I don't care about the third party. Just get the damn thing out there. And don't explain it. Just capture it and move on. And the third thing, if there's someone in your group who's shutting you down, point them out to me. 5 minutes, go. So how'd you go? Anyone have any ideas? Did you find that particularly difficult to do? No, it's easy, right? What did it feel like? What was the mood of that discussion? Fun, energetic, playful, silly. Like it's a relief, isn't it? Like, oh, finally. I just feel like I can put ideas out there. I'm not getting judged the whole time. So guess what? Irritation, you enjoyed that and you're good at it, and that's step 1. Creative play, okay, you're good at that. We'll see, but I think you are. Enjoy that, that's fine. So you can see we're on a path here. So who's got some ideas they want to share? Come on, don't leave your Uncle Jace hanging. Who's got something for me? Yep, over here. Yep.
Okay, we had a whinge about carry-on luggage.
Carry-on luggage.
All right, so we're saying...
one of the worst carry-on movies, if I had to pick one.
You could put Wi-Fi and charging stations on it, put seats on it, a laptop storage so you don't have to pull your laptop out every time you go through checking. Designing space areas for the ladies, makeup and hair dryers and mirrors. Little mini fridge for their makeup.
A fridge for the makeup?
Yeah, we've got motorised wheels, we've got...
So much I don't understand.
We got GPS, and we got waterproof, we got digital tags. Instead of writing the tags every time, you have little digital tags.
Yep.
We have barcodes for check-in instead of printing paper.
It's already barcoded.
A hand warmer on the handle. We got remote control drive. We got self-checking, and we got face recognition.
Beautiful. What do we think? You know, somebody asked Edison how many crazy ideas do you have to have before you found the right one? And he said, all of them. It's a volume game. So what have you got there? 20, 30? Do you know what? If one of those was any good, that was 5 minutes well spent. Do you see the beauty of this? You just put it all out and then you pick the winners. But what people try to do is they try to have an idea like this and it's going to come perfectly. That never happens. You're better off just going blah and then kind of sorting it out. Who else has got one for us? Come on, I'm getting old over here. Who's got something for? Oh, look at this. Wobbly table time. Wobbly box time.
So we did the table. It can be used for a good fence, party table, activities board, a screen, room divider, a surfboard, a dog pen, base for modular furniture, perhaps, a door, decorative wall feature, garden features, thinking the metal legs.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, so if you look at the metal legs, it can be recyclable,
Are they
firewood,
magnetic?
again.
Yeah.
It could be reinforcement for something that's existing. Make it into chopping board. Could be a collectible item. You know how you can make them like a whole industrial.
Yeah.
I like this one the best. It's the boggins with sand dunes. You could do barn doors with like metal.
Yep.
Recycled metal. Shelves, and it could be a funky vacuum for a TV.
Beautiful. What do we think? Yep. Okay, one more. What do we got? Oh, come on. You guys were having such a good time. I need to hear about it.
Right. So we did this computer case. We initially found that it was felt poor quality and was rather heavy. So the first thing we did is added a strap, added storage, better material. We didn't like the zip, so we turned it into magnets. To attack the weight, we thought about helium edges. Then it was awkward to carry around, so we thought a little bit outside the box and created a drone attachment with a GPS and a phone charging dock.
Beautiful. What do we think? You know, Bruce's story about the fire just kind of reminded me, because I was one of the rooms that wasn't told that the place was on fire, so thanks for that very much. We're doing work with firefighters, and we had done a similar sort of a thing. And one of them had picked the fire extinguisher off the wall, and they said, let's sort of brainstorm that. I don't know if you've ever looked at a fire extinguisher or used one in an actual fire. They're terrible. Like, it's not going to do what you think it's going to do. The instructions are tiny. It's like the instructions on the shampoo bottle in the hotel. You can't read, what am I supposed to do while the place is burning? It doesn't actually have, and actually, you've actually got to take it into the fire, which is another design problem. So they came up with these thoughts. Well, for example, it should have sound. So Siri tells me, you know, put the wet stuff on the red stuff. It should be just telling me that. And then one of them said, well, if we've got sound, could we have music? Like, dun, 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 dun. Like, give me something that makes me want to go and do a thing. And they said, yeah, we've got music, we've got Siri. Actually, you shouldn't have to, why don't we, instead of squirting this thing, what if it's like one of those super soaker things? You wear like your big Ghostbusters backpack on, and then you've got like a fire grenade launcher that just shoots, you know, fire extinguishing grenades into the thing. They said, well, why don't we just throw them into the room? In fact, why doesn't the extinguisher just throw the extinguisher in the room and it sorts it out? And one guy said, you notice I took it off the wall and the building didn't scream? Like, the building doesn't know I've taken away the fire extinguisher. You start to see the possibilities. We're doing work with a company that makes work boots for miners, not for little kids. I mean, people are going underground. And they said, oh, you know, with the stitching and the adder thing and blah, blah, blah. And they weren't really getting a lot of ideas. And so I said, the problem is you're not asking the users. You're not asking the people who wear the boots, because they'll tell you what's wrong with them. The designers aren't going to know. Ask the miners. So we got a bunch of these guys in, and the first thing they complained about was clay. Because you're stomping around and you've got these big treads on your boots, the clay gets into the treads, and so now the boots get kind of a little bit rocky. But also when you go home, you can't walk into the house. So I've got to take my boots off and leave them outside, and then the possum gets onto it, and God knows whatever else happens. Then I've got to go find a stick and get the whole thing out. And one of them said, why isn't there just some metal, like, can I just, like, clean the treads? Like, just push them and it cleans them out. And they experimented with that, and they said, well, we could put a tool, like a metal piece, and that could help you dig it out, and one of the miners said, "Could you make that a bottle opener?" Yeah, we can make it a bottle opener, it'll be fine. But when they put the metal in the boot, they realised, why isn't there a transponder in the boot? Because if someone's trapped in a mine, they'll have their boots on. What if you could track the boots of people? You know, not from a timesheet company management sort of a thing, but in terms of just safety. So if you found the boot, you found the miner. The designers would not have thought of that. Do you see the beauty of this? So let me ask you to reflect on that process, on that conversation. If I was to map the thinking that you did over those crazy 5 minutes, and if I was trying to get a measurement of time and a measurement of strangeness, how would you have plotted the conversation? Just show me with your hands. Which way did the conversation go? Was it scattered? Did it start scattered? Or did it kind of get scattery? Yeah, so it kind of was pretty close to the ground, and then what happened? Is that what happened with you guys? You had the first couple of ideas were probably, let's face it, obvious. You know, change the colour, put something in, make it something else. That's probably a good place to get started. But then what happened? More ideas and more ideas. And didn't the ideas kind of get stranger over time? Is that what happened? Yeah, why? There's nothing in the water supply, I promise. So what's going on? Why did your minds do that? Yeah, because we've already explored the obvious stuff. We need to keep looking. Okay, we've thought of the basics. Now we need to find something else. He's told us keep going. Anything else? Any other reasons for this to happen? No, you won't. And so everyone around you is going, yeah. And so you just keep going. They're feeding you. Have you ever noticed when little kids walk for the first time, they're terrible at it? I mean, they're crap. They get up, they fall down, they get up, they fall down. We don't go, I don't think walking's for you, sweetie. You know, nearly, yeah, keep going. You know, we're encouraging. Ideas are like little children, like they're babies, they're newborns. You need to kind of edge them along a little bit, give them encouragement. What else? What else is going on in the group that opened that up? What do you notice? Tell me where that came from. So there's a little bit of excitement that goes on because all of a sudden we're saying, oh, the world is bigger. There are greater possibilities here. That's very exciting for us. We love that. What else did you notice? Yeah. Do you think we have that in our workspace very often? No, because we don't want to sound like dickheads. We don't like, oh, what if this doesn't work and I haven't thought it through? I better keep this idea to myself. Did you find that ideas bounced off each other? Yeah. Tell me about that. What was going on there? That's really important. You claim it up.
So one led to another.
Yeah.
So one little bit and then you just roll away.
Yes, so they were actually kind of bouncing off it. So she had more and more. What tends to happen is someone says, what about this idea? What about this idea? Oh, I think this idea is better. Really? Oh, no, I think this idea. Like now we're having some beauty contest. As opposed to, yeah, this and what else? That's why I said go for quantity. Yeah, it allows the ideas to actually crossbreed, and you get more and more of them. Can you see a point to that? Do you see the value in it? Right? Why don't we do that more often? What stops us? What shuts it down? Silence. That's a good answer. Any others? It's just no one. It's just faster. I'll just do what I've always done. I'll just do it a bit harder. Like I'll just do the same old crap. I'm dog number one, baby. Just run a little bit faster. Yeah. Haven't got time to challenge what I'm doing. Yeah. Because guess what? How's that going to work? Who's going to pay for it? Have you sorted out the IP? No, I just had the idea. Have you ever seen someone have an idea? Like when they have one right in front of you, have you seen their face? It's like they're having something inserted into them. They have no idea. Like, oh my God, they don't know what it is. Like you're in this moment of inspiration. You go, well, what about the return on investment? No. It's up here somewhere. Do you see the beauty of it? It's like saying, okay, just go with it. Let's see how this thing kind of pans out. So is it fair to say that whatever we have down in here was kind of, it's not going to set the world on fire, and it was just your first thoughts? Do we need to have those to kind of clear out the pipes a little bit? Have you ever turned on an old garden tap that hasn't been used for years? A lot of brown crap comes out. That's just the first flush. Then let it, and it gets cleaner and better and better. Yeah. What about up here? This stands for way of the future. Because the stuff that looks insane now, I swear to God, kids, it'll be in the shops 5 years from now. I've been doing this for 20 years. Stuff that we thought was insane back then, most of it's already happened. Yeah, when people really, we get organisations now to do 20 and 30 and 50-year plans, right? And they resist like mad, but I've got Jedi mind skills and I can kind of get them there. What they think is going to take 50 years usually takes about 20. So do you see the benefit in actually really thinking outside the square there? Yeah. And then down the middle here, this is the sexy spot here. The stuff that you'll be doing is in the interesting zone. It won't be the wild stuff. It'll be the stuff that I went out to the crazy and then I brought it back into land. We were doing this with the Melbourne zoos, and they were asking the keepers about ideas for school holiday programs. And I'm asking zookeepers, and they're saying, well, we could have colouring in competitions, and we could do face painting and keeper talks. That's always good. And then we could have like little animal tracks on the... Sounds fantastic. It's like what they've done every freaking year, right? They were down in here, right? And I was really having trouble getting them to go nuts. And they're on a coffee break, and I'm thinking, I'm in a zoo. This place is full of 6-year-olds. There's some serious brains walking around. If I just, I don't know, grab a bunch of 6-year-olds and take them into a corner and start asking questions, okay, lesson learned, I'm not going to do that again. But I said, what would you like to do at the zoo during school holidays before their parents found me? What would you like to do? And I was in the presence of genius. They went straight to the way of the future. They said, well, we want to ride animals. We want to take animals home. We want to be animals. We want to eat animals. We want to eat with animals. We want to see animals fight. This little boy said, I should be able to go red panda, snow leopard, go. Like I want to see them fight. And this girl kept saying, I just want to put my little brother in a cage. This is genius. I love this. This is absolute genius. I went back to the keepers and went, okay, that's the WTF. Could you tame any of those ideas? Give them a haircut. Like, do your third party governance on it. Bring them down at least to interesting. Because what I was trying to do, I was trying to get to interesting by sexing up what was boring. And I found it's actually much faster to take a wild idea and domesticate it. And they went straight to it. They said, how could you take one of our animals home? Let's just say that was possible. How would it be possible? It's probably not going to be technically possible. Is it possible in spirit? And they said, well, okay, if you brought your pet to the zoo and you left it with us and we gave it a makeover, so when you picked it up at the end of the day, we had cut bits off, stuck bits on, painted, changed the thing, and now your rabbit is a leopard, and your schnauzer is now a panda. Like we've just decorated it. It's not face painting, it's animal painting. Do you see the beauty of that? They would never have got there if I hadn't taken them to crazy. Does that make some sense to you guys? Can you see the benefits to your business? To say every now and then I've got to step back from the tools and just go, okay, where's this going? What's the longer term plan? Where do I see from it? But it means you've got to be able to clear your head. Yeah? So I'm going to show you how to do that. By the way, do you think you could share this with other people? If I gave you the slides, would this be easy enough for you to show anyone else how to do this? Yeah, everyone can do it. I've done this around the world now for 20 years. I've not met anyone who can't do this. It's actually what we're wired to do. If I was to redesign this chair, oh, you're the perfect crowd for this question. This is last year's bestseller. It's the ZX Turbo 9000. We're really pleased with it, but we want to rethink it. Give me some ideas. I'll take anything. How could this be better? Wheels. Very interesting. You're not even talking about the colour of the materials. You're talking about what it does. Wheels. Make a note. Anything else? Sorry? Lumbar support, right? So it's got another little function to it. It's not just to keep your bottom off the ground. It's for your health. Anything else? A cup holder. Love where you guys are going from. Anything else? Come on, keep it going. Yeah, that's not really holding up all that well. So just better craftsmanship, for God's sake. Anything else? Do you like the colour? Right, so change the colours. Anything else? Make it a recliner. Beautiful. What about, do you still like this sort of steel and vinyl kind of combo, or would you look at different materials? Better quality, or just better steel? Sorry? ethically made, very, very good. So we've got the colour, the materials, the shape, what it does. If I was to say, okay, well, there's 4 things, there's 4 axes by which we've described this thing. Yeah? And let's say we came up with, I don't know, 4 ideas in each category. You know, so 4 colours, 4 shapes, 4 things it could be made out of. Yeah, make it out of Play-Doh, why not? 4 different kinds of function. So you're putting wheels on it is a function. Now it's a form of transport. Lumber is a change in function. Now it's got a health thing. Yeah, cup holder is also a change in function. Does that make some sense? How many chair concepts do I have up there? I'll give you a clue. It's 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. There's 256 chairs there. And we're only just getting started, right? If I start to say, well, I'm an old school kind of guy, can I just have a square brown wooden chair? Yep, terrific. But what else could we do? What are some of the other possibilities? How many other ways could we use what we call a Zwicky box, this matrix? How can we generate more possibilities just by changing one thing? I'll give you these slides, but by all means take notes because this is pretty awesome stuff. So here are some chairs generated by this tool. All of these are chairs, I suppose. You know, like we're really stretching the limits of what a chair is. I believe you can sit on this, but I'm not prepared to. But you could start to see, oh my God, the possibilities all of a sudden become so much greater if I'm prepared to change the material, the shape, the function, the colour, the nature, the size, the look. Do you see what I'm doing? Let me show you how it applies to a business, because this is just the potatoes. Here comes the gravy. We were doing work with, well, I can't give you their name, but it's a company. It makes travel guides, and they're very lonely. That's all I'm going to say. We said, okay, what would be the definition of a business? It's not size or material. It's got to be, well, who do we do it for, and what do we do, and how do we do it, and where do we get it, and how do they pay for it, and where are we based? Is that right? And then I got them to do what you just did. Just dump down everything you can think of. And here's what they came up with. So why would someone want a travel guide? Is it because you have to be traveling, or are there some people who are just curious or interested, or would like to know something about another place that they're not ever going to? What about people who won't travel, but would like to have the pleasure of traveling? Are they going to want a little book or some big luscious thing or something else? Are they going to want a documentary series? So who's the market? Would you buy a travel guide to the city you live in? I bet you there's stuff in that book and it tells you about your place, you have no idea. Like, oh my God, that's where that coffee shop is. Where's the market for people who aren't traveling, who already live in that town? Can you see some possibilities here? Oh, but wait, there's more. What's in it? It could be fashion, trivia, history, architecture. What form would it take? Where would you get it? Could I get it through vending machines? Is that a thing we could do? I mean, I could get pretty much anything else in a vending machine. And when could I get it? That's the only business they've got. Take a minute. Find me another business for them. Because I don't think they've really thought this through. That top line is what they've always done. It's still the mainstay of their business. Is that it? Or are there possibilities here that you can see and you're not even in that industry? Take a minute. 2 minutes. Enjoy. Talk at the table. What ideas can you see for this business? What's their next step might be? Go. Time's up. Okay. Any thoughts? Can you see any possibilities here? Can you see parts or futures for this business that they're just a little bit too busy to see? Who's got something? I'll throw them into the magical box of talking. There you go.
And then I was just, connecting the dots here, I thought it would be good to have a fun implant for students with tips on whatever they want, everywhere, all the time, so it's on demand.
Yep, and it's an implant?
Oh, yeah.
In the brain?
Yeah, big time.
Could we call it chip for brains?
Yes, please.
TM. Beautiful. What do we think? Chip for brains, give it up. Who else? Who else has got something? Yes. Ha! Whoa. I think that bit's redundant. I didn't worry too much about it. We need to rethink this thing. I agree.
I was saying we think let's make it digital, and being digital, you actually have people on the ground there that live in these different places that the book refers to, and as a customer you can actually contact them. So you can ask them to give you some quick information, give you photographs of something down the road. Those people tell you about the food and the culture. They can update that cafe that we said was fabulous that's closed. So that's basically how we go.
So it's live local knowledge on demand.
Yeah.
What do you think? Yes? Let's do one more. Now, it's actually easier to do this when it's not your business because you've got a little bit of distance, and that's part of the challenge for all of us. You've got to step back from a business. Don't care about it quite so much and see it the way someone else will see it. And this technique is actually a great way of doing that because now you've dumped down everything. Close your eyes and just go, oh, okay, that's no good. What about this one? It's a good way of seeing possibilities. Let's do one more. Who else has got one? Yep, here we go.
It would be a GPS that has built-in like geotags, so if you travel anywhere, so it's on demand, part of your device essentially.
Yep.
So when you are driving somewhere, every time you go past somewhere, it gives you like a history on something or a fact about where you're driving.
Fantastic. What do you think? Yeah. I believe that the Tour de France is on at the moment. The thing that actually built the followership of that race was the commentary about where the bikes were. You notice this? It wasn't, oh, a number 2 is coming, number 3, boring. You go, and this monastery was built in the 15th century by elves. And just go, oh, wow, I didn't know that. So people who don't care about the race are actually just enjoying the countryside. So they've realised seeing this thing is actually a bigger deal than just the race itself. You see how fantastic that is? Very cool. Is this a technique you could use that you want to use? You go home and say, oh, I'm going to start putting down what do I make and who pays for it and what else could it be and why would they do it? What do you see the beauty of this? And do it with other people. Do it with your customers. Do it with your family. Do it with a 5-year-old. Just to put all the thoughts down and start to see how it comes together. Now, I showed you there was 256 concepts when we looked at the one with the chair. Here's how many are here. That seems a lot. That might be sort of more than I'm going to have time to do with. So how do I pick? Because generating ideas isn't your problem. Your next problem is going to be which idea is worth pursuing. Welcome to Spread Yourself Thick. So now I'm going to show you how do you pick? How do you know which ones to play with? So I'm going to show you, this is one of my favourite quotes of Steve Jobs. He said, innovation's about saying no to thousands of things. Not saying no to everything, but actually figuring out which things you put more energy into. Instead of spreading yourself thin, spread yourself thick. I'm going to show you some ideas from previous workshops, and I want you just to make a sound. I want your impression. I don't even need words. I just want to get a sense of, do you like the idea? Do you not like the idea? Just go with the gut. So instant response. Contestant number 1 is the Power Buddy. It keeps hot drinks hot, cold drinks cold, and keeps your phone going. 1, 2, 3, what do you reckon? Okay, so on the meter I'm thinking, maybe that's got a shot. Okay. Let's try the weight belt. This is for people losing weight. Oh, okay. This isn't doing quite so well. Wait, okay, that one was over here. This one's okay, fine. What about this? The Echo helmet. It's a cardboard bike helmet that's totally recyclable and foldable. If I told you it actually works, it works really well. Anyway, what do you think? Okay, I think I'm getting to see where you guys want to go. Okay, the baby mop onesie. You are monsters. Okay, so that's like ideal Father's Day gift. I said that's getting a bit of a vibe. The butter stick, a better way to butter. This is where I can usually spot the germaphobes. Okay, what about the scumbag? Now, this one requires some explanation. If people are stealing your lunch at work, we've printed the bag so it looks like there's mold. Huh? What do you think? The sandwich is fine, people. It's the bag. Okay, so I'm thinking that one might be a bit of a winner. Okay, pancakes and sausage on a stick with chocolate chip. Hey, wouldn't say no to any of those things on their own. What do you reckon if they're all together? This is a real product, by the way, believe it or not. What do you think? Okay, all right, almost there. How do you feel about the translated T? This is a T-shirt with icons that allows you to communicate to anyone in any language, anywhere in the world, simply by pointing to what you want in the order that you want it in. Yep, I'd like this, I'd like one of these. I'm like, well, I guess it depends on who's wearing it and what's going on. There's probably something there we have to think about. At least it wasn't the translator underpants. There's that. Okay, so here's 8 very different ideas, and I've chosen them specifically because they differ in terms of their value, right? And so I'm going to ask you one question at a time, and I want you to really just answer the one question. Talk to the people at your table. I want you to rank them. I want to know, how good is it? This is what we call the ScoMo question. How good is it? So this is, I call this the ScoMometer. 10 is, it's very good, ScoMo. 0 is, it's utter shite. And, 5 is, oh, look, I suppose it's fine. So I want you to have a discussion at the table. I want you to give me a number, not words. I just want numbers. 10 is great, 0 is crap, 5 is meh. Got it? I don't care about the return on investment. I don't care about the OH&S. I don't care about anything. I just want to know, if I had a warehouse full of these ready to go, and you just had to say yes, this is like Dragon's Den, good or bad or horrible. 2 minutes, go. Time's up. Okay. So, did you manage to get rough agreement on some of these, yes or no? Right. Was that particularly difficult? No. Because I was only asking one question at a time. I just wanted to know how good it was. I didn't want to know how difficult it was. But very often when we're talking about ideas, we're having those 2 conversations at the same time. Have you noticed? It's a great idea, but it will never work. But people will love it. Yeah, but we can't afford it. But we did this last... Yeah, but there's an election on. We're always telling you the difficulties while we're exploring the possibilities. I've learned to quarantine those 2 discussions. So if you say, how good is it? Just pretend that magical pixies will make it happen. Let's just have that one conversation. Do you see how that simplifies it? The reality's coming, don't worry, but get this first part right. I want to know what's worth doing before I do anything. So give me some clue. Which of these would you rank highly? You thought, they're pretty high. Just call out. The butter stick, the plastic bag. Yeah, I love the plastic bag. The scumbag. Yep. The translated T. Yep. Okay. Did you find that, say, I reckon it's a 4, I reckon it's a 5, no, I reckon it's a 4. You know what, let's make it 4.5 and move on. Numbers are so much faster at this than words. I like it. I think, is it that good? I don't think that's good. I think it's almost that good. We'll be there for days. But if you've got numbers, you can get straight to it. Very sexy. Numbers are worth 1,000 words. So if we now could figure out which ones were high value, do you have any interest in the ones that were low value? I mean, but what if they were easy? Like really easy. They're still shit. Like, why would I care? But when people have a bunch of ideas, they look at what's easy. They go, oh, we could do that tomorrow. Hang on, just wait a second. What's worth doing before we choose anything? Is that making some sense to you guys? Okay, so now that you've got a sense of what's worth doing, the second question, how hard would it be? 0 is piece of cake. Knock it out by Thursday. 10 is, I don't know, impossible, like colonising Pluto by Thursday. Yeah. 5 is like, it's going to be a bit of a pain in the neck. So I just want you to focus on the ideas that you think were valuable. Forget the rest, they're garbage. How hard would those valuable ones be? 0 is easy, 10 is impossible. Go. Time's up. Okay. So did you have any trouble working out or estimating the difficulty of these things? What would you say, yes or no? No. When you said you had a bit of trouble, were you out by 1 or 2 numbers or dramatically different?
Well, I look at those things and I think scalability, right? So
yep.
I'm thinking it's one thing to make 1,000 and to move on to, for example, the helmet. You would initially think, great, lace, cardboard, you can actually make it happen, but then we're thinking you need to get through a lot of rules and regulations and government approvals and to make it viable.
That's right. It's like the first light bulb, I think, took us 12 years. The most recent one, I think, took a nanosecond. You know, it's that whole thing about making one will take a long time, then we perfect it. Then making the first 1,000 is going to be really, really hard, and then making the most recent 1,000 is going to take no time at all. So it's about how that scalability changes.
Yeah, for that we end up there.
Yeah, but I guess what you're saying is it depends on how far down the track we're thinking. Are we just making one, or we're making, and that's the kind of thinking we need to do here, which is not the same thinking you do in the creative stuff, but now we're past that. We're into something which is a little bit more practical and pragmatic. Does that make some sense? Yep. Did the rest of you find that just by answering that one question, the difficulty thing, and we weren't talking about how much we loved it, it's going to be hard? Yeah, but I really love it. Don't care. We've moved on. Do you see the beauty of this? So if you're able to have a conversation about the value and then have a conversation about the effort, now you can do this. You could say, well, how would I plot this? If value is on this scale and if it's on that scale, where do these things sit? Right? And just imagine, I'm just going to pretend I know what you chose. If the translator T is high value, low effort, does that sound good to anybody? We used to call that low-hanging fruit back in the 80s. Like, hang on, it's a great idea and it's not hard. What advice would you give me? Do it. In fact, that's got to be the thing that I do now. Would you agree? What about high value, high effort? Great idea, but geez, I mean, the scalability, the complexity, all that sort of stuff. Does that mean you don't do it?
No.
What does it mean?
It just means you might need more time.
Do you know what? That's not going to be this week. Maybe that's 5 years or 10 years. Now I'm starting to see further down the road. But I've seen those ideas hit the bin because we couldn't do them straight away, which is a shame because then someone else does them. What about down in here? Low value, low effort. Has anybody here ever pissed in a wetsuit? Yep. Great. It's not relevant. I was just interested. Thanks for sharing. Why would you tell me that? No, it is kind of relevant because that's what we call the wetsuit area. Whatever you do down there is easy, it feels nice, it gives you a lovely warm feeling. It's of questionable value to others in the long term, right? So, yes, I could make the weight belt, but no one's going to want it. So it doesn't matter that it's easy, it's irrelevant. That's why I don't talk about effort until I've decided on value. What about low value, high effort? Is that ringing anyone's bells? I reckon it rings an alarm bell, which is get the hell away from it, right? And so this is what happens when we get people to free up their thinking. We get people to free up their thinking, right? But what we've got to do is to make sure that their heads don't have too many things in it. And we've been using this tool just to look at which ideas to pick. But in the last, 15 years, we've been using it to make all decisions about our business, about what am I going to do and what am I not going to do? What will I keep, chuck, change, or add? So let me show you how this works, right? It's really simple. It's really basic. So over here, I've defined what are the gains? What is it that I want? So in my business, we have 5 things that we want. Numeracy would be the 6th one. 5 things we want. We want the work to be important. Like it's got to be essential to our core values and our mission. We want it to be fun. We think that's really important. That's really critical. We want to make some money, but we want to learn. And also, we want to get good at what we're doing, so we want work that's going to stretch us. Is your business very different from mine? I'll put a few others in there that maybe you might want as well. Maybe you want work that's going to build your profile or give you real pride in your work. Are these your values? Would these be things that you'd want to get for the work that you put in? What would you say, yes or no? Yeah. And then what are the pains? Aren't they the same for all of us? This is going to take time. It's going to cost resources. It's going to, give me blisters, or whatever else it is. Could you then take this model and start looking at what work is worth doing? In fact, what anything is worth doing. So I told you about ours, right? I'm going to give you 2 jobs came on the same week. Tell me what I would do with them, right? Based on what you know about me already. We got a call from a soft drink company Would I be interested in spending 2 days in Fiji with 500 drunken soft drink salesmen? So how's that going to be on my... Does that sound like it's important work? Would it be fun? Fiji, 2 days, piss off the salesman, I'd probably have a good time. Would I learn? Maybe. Would I earn? Oh God, yes. Would it make me better at what I do? Maybe, I suppose all experience does. How would I rank that? It's not a 10. It's not like an 8. Like it's not, I wouldn't say no, but I'm not going hell yeah. All right? How hard would it be to get to Fiji and sit on a beach for 2 days and talk to these idiots occasionally? That's pretty low effort, wouldn't you think? So I'm thinking it's high-ish medium value and it's low effort. Would you agree? So that job's going to sit, I don't know, up in D maybe. Does that make sense? It's about a D. The other call we got was from a group here representing the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And their country's been at war for the longest time. It's a nightmare. It's a hot mess all over. They wanted to rethink their health system so that it was accessible and easy for people who couldn't travel. And it had to be something that armies couldn't blow up or set fire to. How would I have scored that? High value. Is there any part of that that would be low value? Do you reckon there's any money in it? There's no money in it. Okay. But it still ranks really high on the other factors, yeah? In fact, it does a little bit better than the soft drinks, but not because of money, but because it matters. What about the effort that's involved? This is not sitting on a beach in Fiji. This would be, okay, this is going to be quite an undertaking. Where do you reckon it sits? Just pick a letter. Yeah, I reckon C. I reckon the soft drink job is what letter? D. And so which job will I take? Can I take both of them? Can I take one of them to fund the other one? That's what I'll do. I'll say, if I do that one, then I'm not going to be hung up about the lack of money in the other one, and I can pay my bills and I can go off and do this other thing. Do you see the beauty of this? You start putting the ideas up, and you're thinking, here's where we go with this. So I want you to imagine this is your business, and you've got 3 jobs at the moment. There's a pet project that you want to work on. You think you might do some training. You've had this new idea in the bath, and there's probably some new gear that you might want to get. And let's say you put these things up on the board like that. What are you going to do with this? Are you going to do all of this work? Are you going to let some things go? If you were going to do them, what order would you do them in? This is spreading yourself thick. This will take you 5 minutes. Have a look at this. Tell me how you would prioritize your time and energy if this is the way you ranked those things that are in the shop right now. 5 minutes. Let's go. Firstly, does this make sense? Is this a useful way to put everything up there? Not just the jobs, everything that's going to take your time and energy and going, what do I get for what this is costing me and how do I leverage off these? Yeah, and you put this up in the kitchen and you just don't think about it ever again. And every time a new thing comes in, you kind of move stuff around. So what recommendations have you got for me? Just sing out. What would you do with project 1? Job number 1. You haven't signed off on it yet. What do you reckon? Second last or dump it? Yeah, it's easy, but is it really what you're there to do? Because guess what? It's still going to take some time. And I know I've met businesses that have got 20 of those going. 20 of those low quality jobs, that's all you have. So guess what? Those things really cost you in terms of energy. Project 2. Run like mad. Just don't go anywhere near it. It's just, it's a dog. Project 3. Obviously the first one. So simple. When you see it, like in your head, it's a real jumble. The minute you put it out there, it becomes so simple. How do you feel about the pet project you're working on? It's going to be big though, but it's not going to be easy. Yeah. So you just kind of got that on a low boil. Yeah. Well, maybe. I mean, high value means it ticks some of these boxes, and I'm not telling you which ones it are. So, for example, I've got a pet project. I want to teach logic online, and I want to make it fun and playful, and there's no money in that. I just think it's really important, and I spend every spare second working on that. But, you know, that'll take me years to get going. Meanwhile, I have to go and do other stuff. Yeah? With the training, can you do without it, or what do you think about it? You don't have to put, so that would be the next thing you'd look at? Yeah? Well, you would still do it even though it was sort of stuck in the middle? Yep. Okay. What about the interplay with these things? Did you think about how if I did that, then I can do this? Or if I didn't do that, it frees me up to do that? Anyone have those conversations?
We did some of the value tasks to afford putting the equipment in. Thinking the equipment is going to make the high effort tasks easier.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the beauty. You're not looking at just a single thing. You're looking at the whole thing and saying, if we do this, it sets us up to do that, and then I won't have to do this again. Do you see the beauty of it? This is spreading yourself thick. This is how it works. Any other observations you have about using this? Could you do this back at the shop? Is there anything you wouldn't put on here? I put paying my taxes on here. Seriously, anything that's going to take my time, I want to know where it sits. How many of you have got to-do lists? Chuck them. Because they give you a completely false understanding about what matters. In fact, let me see if you do this. You make a to-do list, you go to work, you didn't get any of it done. You did 5 things that weren't on the list, and then you wrote them on the list so you could cross them off the list. Yeah. Seriously, let it go. This is it, kids, because once you've got this is the way you start to see the world. These are my priorities, and then I'm going to work on this, and then I'm going to work on this. And I'm going to let go everything else that I don't have to do. Now, training might be one of the things you have to do. Paying taxes is something I have to do. But at least I want to know, what do I get for what it costs me? What do you think? Useful? Yeah, this is a game changer. And I say this as someone who didn't invent this model. I wish I had, but it's such a clever way of doing things. In 20 years of running our business, we do everything like this. In fact, we don't have meetings. We don't need them. Because given the same information, we're going to make exactly the same decision. Well, there's only 3 of us, so don't be too impressed. But you can see the beauty of this. We're using this now in large organisations to decentralise decision-making. Give this to the people on the ground, and you don't have to bother the management, because they'll know what the management would have said. How cool is that? Yep. Okay, last thought, because we're getting up to morning tea, which is a very sexy thing. Okay, do you know anybody like this? That if you give them a problem, if you state a problem, they're going to give you an idea in exchange. Doesn't matter what it is. Who lives with those people? Who are those people? You know what you need? WD-40, duct tape, chicken soup, Pilates. Yeah, I had that, and just stay inside. Like, they've got an answer for everything. Is that annoying sometimes? Yeah, but is it useful as well? A mind that can take a problem and throw it back to you as an idea, even if it's a bad idea, that's a really powerful skill, right? If they set up a business on their own, how would they go? They'd go nowhere, because nothing's going to get done. Yeah, what'll happen is lots of butcher's paper, lots of sparkle pens, no decisions, nothing happening. What do you think about a mind that does this? That if you gave them an idea, they could put it into a blueprint. They could start to draw it up and say, this is what it would look like, and this is how it would be hinged, and this is where the weight... Like, they start to engineer this thing. An aviation engineer said to me once, ideas need wings, but they also need landing gear. I need someone who's going to show me how it actually works. Do you recognise this mindset? This might be closer to home for you guys. What does the client want? What will the wood do? Okay, I'm going to find the optimum thing. Does that make some sense? Would you see a good partnership happening between these two? Yep, that's the key to Silicon Valley, those two. There's the one that's got the crazy idea and the one who figures out who's going to pay for it and how it'll work. What about this mindset? Sees all the dangers, sees all the risks, sees all the problems. Do you know anybody like this? Did you marry anyone like this? It's very common. Like, if you're, you've got to have someone go, no, not going to work. You're like, you've got to have that energy in your life somehow. Just try not to, kill it. Is that a useful mindset to have in a business? Yeah, it is. What would happen if it was the only mindset you had? Nothing would happen. Nothing would happen. With my big clients, and my big clients, by the way, are my dumb clients. The bigger they are, the dumber they are, because they just become so siloed in hierarchy. That's the top third of the org chart, is those guys. Right? They're the ones that are just looking at the legal. Nothing's ever going to happen. Never had an idea. You go into the boardroom, I swear to God, it's hilarious. You go into the boardroom and they have like a great big table, and at the end of the room, there's a huge oil painting of the last guy to have an idea. And the guy's usually got like pince-nez and mutton chops, like it's been a long time since they had an idea. And they show me the origin tape. They go, here's the story of our company. And it's always the same. It began as the dream of a visionary. And they tell the story about some ratbag who had some crazy idea and it didn't work, and the war broke out and the factory burnt down and the horse died. But, finally they got it together. And then you look at it now and you go, that guy would not last 10 minutes in this business now. In fact, I asked the Catholic Church, I said, if Jesus comes back, would you give him a gig? And the head of the Parramatta Diocese said to me, as a direct quote, he said, Jesus would not last 10 minutes in this business. Thinking, okay, I think I see what the problem is. But so far, there's just been talk, right? This has just been talk. I'm going to need someone who, does something. Actually says, okay, enough, get out of my way and let me get on with it. Now, this is the most important thing I can tell you, which is why I've left it for last. This is what we call the idea model. Imagine, develop, evaluate, act. And you've done a little bit of this today. In the last 90 minutes, you've had to whinge about something, and then you were creative about what it would look like. And then that Zwicky box with the lonely travel guide thing, you were thinking like developers. It could be this, and this is how it would work, and this is how it would be paid, and this is how we would use it. That's development. That's that D mind. And what we've just done with, baby mop onesies and the scumbag, that's evaluation. What do I get? What would it cost me? And you've switched all of those gears in the last 90 minutes. But what if you didn't have to? What if you knew people who just did this by nature? Do you have to do this all by yourself? Look around. There's talent in this room. You're part of a family. You're part of a network. What else could you do with the talent? So check this out. What turns these minds on or off? So I'm going to ask these two tables here. Yeah, these guys here. I want to know, take 3 minutes, 4 minutes, enjoy yourselves. What switches on imagination? If I gave you people who are highly creative, highly outside the box, they don't even know there is a box. What turns them on? What excites them? What gets that brain going? You 4 kids here, I want to know, no, actually you kids here, I want to know about what turns on designers and developers. What is it would fire up an engineer or a planner or an architect? Someone who's going to figure out the detail of the thing. Still creative, but within a real discipline. Over here, I want to know what turns on Judge Judy or Spock. What does that evaluative mind, that number one there, that evaluate, that A, what fires it up? What does it need in order to operate? And you can see a pattern emerging. You kids, and the naughty corner if you want to play. How do I fire up Xena? How do I fire up MacGyver? What gets that inventive, get out of my way, let me get this done brain? What does it need? Yeah, 5 minutes. Go. Time's up. Okay. So I'm going to ask this group here, what is it that fires up our imagination? If you had access to people who thought that way, what do they need to really fire up? Let's go.
I had frustration with current methods and processes.
Frustration with current processes, absolutely. Anything else?
Spend time on ideas.
Right, so just creating the room and a place to play. Yep, you need that. Space, freedom. What's the freedom from? Ridicule, judgment, stress. Yep, just fly the kite, go nuts. Yep, what else?
Self-awareness, at peace with yourself, and your surroundings, good sleep.
Yeah, so have your shreddies, have a sleep, be happy about yourself, turn off the television, turn off the phone, just let that space go. Anything else from you guys? Personal satisfaction in creating. Yeah, just the joy of creativity. Does anybody in this room like to work under those circumstances? Yep, that's how you do it. You create that space and people will give you ideas. You don't even have to pay them for it. It'll just happen organically. How about some love for the team over here? Give it up. So now, I've got a bunch of ideas. What do? I need plans. So tell me, how do I fire up this developer brain? They got nothing. Moving on.
Necessity to changing things that don't work.
Oh, right, so there's got to be some limits to this. Like over here, anything goes, right? Not here. Now we're going, it actually has to be practical. It's got to make sense. Boundaries, structure, parameters, criteria, right? You know, we talk about the box. This group's saying, give me the box. This group's saying, what box? But over here, if we don't have a box, we don't know what we're making. Will it fit? Will it work? Will it carry the weight? Will it do whatever? Does that make sense? When I was one, the President of the United States said the strangest thing that anyone in that job had said until, I don't know, Trump. He gets up in front of 500 engineers and he says, I think we should go to the moon. I want to be there by the end of the decade. That's as far as I've thought this thing out. I'm off for drinks with Marilyn. Good luck, everyone. That's how you talk to developers. Man, moon, 1970, you're smart, work it out. If he said, I think we should explore space, nothing would have happened. There's got to be a limit, otherwise this brain can't operate. What else?
Just vision the solution.
Yeah. So you kind of want to buy into this as well. You want to get excited by this, but you've got to tame it to make it work. You're like those zookeepers, bringing it down into something that would actually work. Anything else? Yep. And what would the challenges be? And sometimes this is the challenge. This is a crazy idea and it has to work in the real world. That's a fantastic challenge. Yeah. So how many of you enjoy that? Yeah. This one actually also takes time, doesn't it? This is fast. No one's ever gone, just have the most amazing design. It doesn't work that way. This you've got to really work at. Would you agree? So how about some love for the developer brain over here? Give it up. Now I need to test it. So I'm going to give it to the lion's den. Tell me, what do you folks need? What does this mind need?
Well, we need a functional workspace.
Yep.
We need access to probably technology to help it.
Yep.
We might dive into policy, procedures, complex, like...
Oh, it's getting very sexy now. Like we need stuff.
Yeah. And just getting on the other hand, analysing it, pulling it apart.
So you need detail, don't you? Like you really need answers. Are you going to get it from here? No. Nah, they ain't got it. That's why this mind is so critical. What happens if you went straight from here to here, which is what most people do? Here's an idea, it'll never work. You need this brain in the middle that builds the bridge. Anything else that the evaluation mind needs?
Yeah. We want to see the reward for this.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Again, don't ask them. Ask these guys, because that's what they're looking at. Anything else that they need? Yeah. And this will be slow, by the way. You give people time to make decisions. Don't rush them, because you'll get bad decisions. Does that make sense? How about some love for the team over here? Getting very cheap on the love, I've got to say. Now that this is done, supposing it survives, it probably wouldn't, but say it did, I now need to get it done. So how do I fire up the team over here? How do I get people just get on with it and make it happen?
They need the resources to do it.
Yep.
Yep. Training will do it. Budget and finance.
Yep.
And then also need a bit of support from the exam.
Also, you want them to kind of get out of your way too, right? Like support, but just get back, because now it's actually got to happen. What about you guys? Anything else?
They're kind of like conductor. Basically, they're bringing all this information together now.
Yep.
And turning it into the actual project.
And also, they're going to have to do some translation at the back end, right? Because the plan might actually fail when it comes into contact with the reality. So you're going to need to be creative here as well. Would you agree? How about some love for the team here? So here's the best thing. Here's the best thing. This is all I do. I go into organisations, I find out what kind of brains have they got, and I figure out who should be at what meeting and in what order. Can you see some sense in this? So Carl and Dawn and Doug, they love the creative process, they're good designers, it's their business, so they want to be involved in decision making, but they don't like doing the actual work, right? Whereas Ashley down the bottom loses the will to live during brainstorms. She's allergic to butcher's paper, but as soon as we've got numbers, she's in. So it allows people to step in and out. You don't have to run the business by yourself. You tap into people. And they don't even have to be in your profession. They could be people you married. You could have dropped one of them off at primary school. It's tapping into the brains around you. One last test I have, and it's morning tea. This is how This is how a school did it. Hang on, go back. Oh no, what have I done? Okay. Forget you saw that. That didn't happen. This is how a school does it. They set up what's the project, who wants to be involved, what stage would they like to participate and lead, when would they like to get back. Joe's got controls issues, as you can see. He just wants to be across everything. But we're so happy that he's there and nowhere else. So now, here's the last final challenge, please. This will take a minute. Here's the fish that John West reject. Imagine this is your community. Find me the talent. Build me a team that could imagine, develop, evaluate, and act. Who would you use? You don't have to use all of them, but if you find talent there, tell me where you'd use it. This will take a minute, and then Bruce, it's morning tea. All good for time? Beautiful. 1 minute. Go, guys. This is pretty much all the thinking you've done the last 90 minutes, but what would happen if you could tap into the brains that were around you? What if you could use other people's brains so you didn't have to do the whole thing yourself? So who would you trust in the imagination phase? Just call out. Lunatics, space cadets. Have you got access to that kind of talent? Do you reckon they're in this room? I reckon I've spotted 3 of them already. You've got those kind of brains. If you put that, I'm going to put nut job at the front. Should they now be in charge of the project? Because they're a nut job. Okay. So they've got to hand it over to someone. Who are they going to hand it over to? Mastermind, bureaucrats, scheme weavers, people who kind of know how the world works. They understand where this thing is going to go. Could I build a partnership between Nutjob and Mastermind? Yeah, I told you, Silicon Valley, that's all they do. Who's going to test it for holes? T-crosses, eye-dotters, cynics, skeptics, party poopers. You got access to them? They're everywhere, not hard to find. If you bring them in at the right time, they're magnificent. I was in a meeting the other day and this woman said, can I play devil's advocate for a moment? I said, sure, but this isn't the moment. You can play devil's advocate at 3 o'clock, it'll be fantastic. You just can't do it any old time you like. Who's going to get it done? Rambo, the Forcer, the action figure. What would happen if I now gave the nut job the freedom, the space, the time, a little bit of gunja? What if I then gave the mastermind the limitations, the criteria, the information? What if I then gave the cynic all the data, all of the options, all of the design details? And then what I gave to Rambo, I gave him the space, the time, the resources, and the freedom to sort it out. Do you reckon we get stuff done? This is all I do. I can't believe I make a living doing this. It's that basic. This is about using the brains around you. And the thing is, once you do it once, it becomes so much easier. Other people just join in. They'll say, can I join this project at this stage? I don't want to do this other stuff. This is where I'll be useful. I want to be part of your business here. And my last thought, it took me 15 years to realise this, but it was worth every second. Every psychological disorder is its own job description. The things that makes people difficult and unbearable and unreasonable, that's their superpower. Get them in at the right time and ask them the right questions. And not only do you spread yourself thick, but you've actually understood that great minds don't think alike. This is how it works. Anything here you could use? All right, guys, that's my time. Thank you very much.